if you guys could only see the impressive collection of USB-C cable adapters that I have, you would know that I'm a master of connections. And the same applies to the fretboard. So today we're going to kind of take some of those connections that maybe you already have. We're going to take your USB 1.0 brain and we're going to upgrade it to 3.0 and beyond right here. So a quick little example that we're going... I didn't mean to insult you as a USB 1.0 brain. That was off the cuff. I'm sorry. That was probably too far for some people. But basically what we're going to do, an example, is going to sound like this. Okay, so we've got a few different things that we're working on. 2 chords. Only 2 chords, and then some other stuff that I know you've seen before, but may not have seen it in context, because these are things that I remember learning, but having no context for. Again, it's about the connections, all right? So, C major to A minor. A lot of different ways you can play C major. I'm just going to use it like this. Okay, so it'll be bar chord. You don't have to play it like a bar chord. You can play it as an open chord if you want. You can play it down here if you want. Anywhere, but... we're going to start off with the 3rd fret on the A string, which is a C, and then the 5th fret on the D, G, and B strings. Okay? Playing it fingerstyle, just like this. The next thing we're going to do is going to sound like this in context. Same chord. So that's just going to be the first part, okay? And it sounds kind of impressive, but it's really not that bad. It's a chord, it's an arpeggio, and then just a couple double stops, pentatonic through the neck. All right, so I'm hitting that C chord, little percussive mute, and then kind of separating it. I'm playing it fingerstyle. You can play it with a pick if you want. So it's chord, hit, root, chord. And then after that, I'm going to go into this arpeggio. And then after this, it becomes something different. What you want to see this as is totally up to you. I just think it sounds kind of good. So... an arpeggio is just when you play a chord 1 note at a time. We could arpeggiate it like this, but I think it sounds cool when you add like a little... Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm getting just the A string, 3, 5, 7, C, D, E, and then I'm going to those next notes that I already played, that 5th fret. That 5th fret is really important here, as we're going to find out when we go to the next chord, but C chord, okay, so after that, there's my move, 3A, 5A, slide to 7A, 5D, and again, you can mix and match these however you want. They're just good things to have in your back pocket, right? Just like me, master of connections, what do I got here? What do I got here? Oh, USB-C to SD card reader? No big deal. I got a million of them all over the place, right? C. All right? So, really kind of easy, especially when you slow it down. Now this right here, where does this come from? This comes from the pentatonic stuff that I'm sure you've already seen before. So before I get into the pentatonic scale, I want to talk about these spots right here. So again, remember that 5th fret I said was super important. All this stuff is movable, by the way, in different keys. I'll show you that later. But we've got 5G and 5B together. And then I'm going to go 7G and 8B. Okay, so now where this comes from is this shape that I know you know. 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. So again, it's just really just the G and B strings. I'm looking at my hand as like the left side of that shape. 5 and 5, 7 and 8, okay? Now, one cool thing that you can do, and one thing that I started to memorize and kind of feel a little better about, really understanding the pentatonic scale and how it went through the neck like that, was to start just kind of doing them in just like positions at a time, right? So 5 and 5, 7 and 8. Now once you get here, just go 2 frets higher, and then go 3 frets higher, and that's going to end up on the root note of the major scale that we're in. Remember, we started on a C. The 13th fret on the B string is a C. Okay, so really good practice, just do this. And then backwards. And then when you end on 5D and 5G, that's really the gist of that C major chord, okay? So one thing that I always really kind of gravitated towards were these double stops from the pentatonic scale. Again, 5 and 5, 7 and 8, then a whole step higher, so 7 and 8 becomes 9 and 10, and then 3 frets higher each to be 12 and 13, okay? So, and again, you can do this a lot of different ways. You can kind of play them maybe one note at a time. Right? I'm just going through one note at a time instead of all of them together. But that's the beauty of double stops, because you're really learning 2 notes at a time through the fretboard, and then you can take that, break them up into individual notes, right? Now is a great time to talk about how this video is sponsored by Sweetwater, sending me this awesome D'Angelico Deluxe SS. Really cool. I've been a huge fan of the Deluxe SS for a while now. It used to have a 6-way switch, but now you can actually just split the coils with push-pull stuff, right? But again, I just love the humbucker sound on this, especially for kind of stuff like this. So definitely check out the link in the description. I get all my stuff from Sweetwater. They're the best. Please, you help the channel out a lot just by clicking on the link, looking around, seeing if you find anything you like. Especially a D'Angelico Deluxe SS. With this beautiful blue finish. Are you kidding me? I think it's sapphire is what it's called. Matched expertly, connected well with my wardrobe and the lights behind me. I know you're probably going to mention it, so I just, save you the trouble of commenting about that. Anyways, back to what we got. So we got the C chord. Arpeggio. Double stop. Okay? Now, I think it sounds good when you skip one of those intermediary double stops. Remember, when we just went through it, it was 5, kind of the next position, whole step, then 3 frets. But we're just going to go. The more that you skip, the more it seems impressive, because you're just leaving that chasm, and you're like, oh, how am I going to get there? I can do it without even looking. Right? Practice. Get those reps in. Get those double stop reps in. And then after a slick arpeggio slide, you can go back to the next chord, which we're going to talk about now. All right? Now, there is a great relationship, a great connection to be made between any key's number 1 chord, the root chord, the tonic, C major. C major is the chord, and its relative minor, that being A minor. And I like making it an A minor 7 chord because I'm classy and I love connections like that. I can't get enough. In fact, if I go digging in my pockets, what else do I got here? What is this? USB C to USB female? Just hanging out? Come on, get out of here. Right? So we're gonna go back on this A minor 7 here. And then now we'll just double stop through the single shape. Alright, that's the beautiful thing about that 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Any of these is a cool way to kind of transition around the relative minor, the A minor part of this little 2-chord kind of section that we have, right? So I'm just double stopping through by starting with a hammer on the A string. So I'm getting A and D together, and then I'm going a string further through the string set. Now I've got D and G, so, and then hammering there. So I'm doing the same thing, 5, A and D, hammering on to 7A, then doing the same thing, down a string, then going down another string. You can hammer on if you want. I kind of like pivoting on that G and B string. And then backing off. That'd be the single note version of it, right? 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, G, backwards. If I add the string behind it, adds some weight to it, adds a little bit of gravity to it, right? So we've got the C part. A. Then next part. Now we've got some licks built around a triad, okay? This is the next connection. Triads are probably like the ultimate connection. Triad is probably just straight up USB 2 to 3 or something like that, or USB-C to whatever that. You know, I really don't know what these connectors are called, to be honest. I just had those two in my pocket. I'm all out of connection metaphors. But you know what I got? I got some triad licks, right? So I said we were in C. It's always great to know, whatever key you're in, whatever chord you're playing, where that note exists on the high E string, right? So the 3rd fret on the A string, our root note is a C. It's really great to start thinking about maybe where some of the root notes are all over the place. 8th fret on the high E string, or the low E string for that matter, is my voice just cracked. I was so excited about talking about these triads. 8th fret on the high E string, okay? Once you do that, 8th fret on the B string, and the 9th fret on the G string. There's our C major triad. Part of, like, you know, maybe an F-shaped chord or just a bar chord. That 9, 8, 8 is always going to be there. And then we can always add the 10th fret on the B and E string, or a step higher from any of those notes. The C to the D, the G to the A, and then you have the E right here. And then any way you kind of want to mix those up, it's always going to sound good. So it just makes sense. It sounds great doing it just like that, okay? So now let's see that in context. We have the first C chord, A minor, double stop, C, A, and then maybe let's do some more of those kind of 2-note things. And then the thing about these kind of double stops, especially once you get higher up the neck, I think the more vibrato you add to it, the better it sounds, right? Can't make it sound bad. No such thing as too much vibrato in that context, all right? Now, the reason that these sound so good together, you may have already figured it out, is a C major chord is just a C, an E, a G. If we have the same chord and just add an A to it on the bottom, an A minor 7 chord is an A, C, an E, and a G. So you can think of A minor 7 as being just a different root note with the C major over it. So in some ways, contextually, you can almost think of these as interchangeable chords, right? Like if you're playing a song, it's just like the same chords over and over again. Just try swapping out the tonic chord, your major chord, with maybe its own relative minor, just seeing how it sounds, right? All this stuff can be done in different keys. We could do it, let's do it in the key of E. Let's do it right here. You don't even have to know what the relative minor of the key of E major is. Again, I'm on the 7th fret. There's my root. You just take your middle finger, and there's your relative minor, just like that, right? So E, arpeggio, C sharp minor, okay, so all this stuff is really movable. You don't even have to know all the different notes in different keys. Definitely is very helpful to do that. I would recommend you spend some time, especially on root notes on the E string and the A string. I think those are going to help you out the most. But again, I think it's just kind of cool to take things that you already may have known, right? Like, okay, C major arpeggio, a C major chord. You probably have maybe seen triads before. I know you've seen the relative minor pentatonic shape before. And then always think about where you're going to end up. And I think a higher part of the register, which is pretty far away from the lowest part, finding that root note up high is a great way to kind of bookend a phrase or something like that. So just a couple different ideas. Thought I had thank you a lot. Thanks so much to Sweetwater and D'Angelico. Loving this guitar. Again, I've been a Deluxe SS player for a long time. I've had the green one that I've been rocking out in countless videos over the years, and they don't sell that one anymore, so they've updated it with this new finish, and I'm absolutely loving it. So definitely check it out in the affiliate link in the description. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.